Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. You know, there's so much that I wish I had learned when I was younger, so much. And I really laugh because I look back and on the one hand, you know, I'm so grateful that my parents raised me in a bubble, essentially. And then on the other hand, I felt disadvantaged because I was raised in a bubble very naively. I was naive for so many years of my life. But as I've aged, I've realized one thing. I get what I need at just the right moment, and each of us does. Once you get a glimpse into how the universe, energy, and you understand the purpose of your human experience, what seemed difficult to navigate through suddenly becomes easier. Just becomes clear once you understand how the universe works. And I've shared many of my ahas with y'all over the years, and I'm going to share one more with you. I truly believe that as I learn my stuff, I got to teach it to you. In fact, I can't begin to tell you how many years my guides have been saying, and I wrote this in my first book, I learn, grow, teach. Learn, grow, teach. That's my job. We're all students and teachers, and we knowingly and unknowingly assume these roles throughout our lifetime. Sometimes we don't even realize how we're helping somebody else grow. There are just too many micro experiences that we have that contribute to this, and we can't possibly even imagine or fathom how many opportunities we are given to teach, and how far our reach is over time when we have the moment of teaching. Every moment presents us with the opportunities to learn and teach, every single moment. And if we're really to take that in, and sit with the awesomeness and profoundness of that, I imagine just as I am, you would be overtaken by the magnitude of that one truth, that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of opportunities in a day to show up and teach, to show up and learn. It's insane. And if you decide, you could take full advantage of more moments to learn and teach simply by choosing to become aware of as much as you can in your environment and in your interactions. And when you do this, suddenly your world opens up and life becomes multidimensional all at once. It's kind of funky. Truth is that we aren't one-dimensional beings, right? We are multidimensional beings living in this human experience. And the problem is that most of us live within a 3D human experience, very concretely, very intellectually, and with limited awareness. And your soul is here to learn what it needs to learn. I'm sure you've heard this over and over again. I've said it over and over again. It's here to learn what it needs to learn to ascend into higher dimensions of beingness. And if you're a student of metaphysics, then you already know that ascension opportunities are all around you. Even if you aren't consciously aware of them, they exist throughout all space and time, even though time is not linear. And the only time really is now. Even the planets are in on this. And those of you who are highly sensitive people or empaths like me, you understand how our energy is affected by just the cycles of the moon, for goodness sake. I'm very sensitive to the cycles of the moon. And when I tell people that, they look at me like I'm a nut job. The people that know me, they're like, yeah, that makes sense with who she is and what she does. But if I tell somebody who is being introduced to me and kind of what I do, and somehow we get on the topic of the fact that I don't sleep so well, and especially with the moon stuff going on, with the full moon and the new moon and all of the days leading up and the days after. It's insane. People look at me like I have 3 heads. So, and y'all, I'm so used to that, I really don't care. I live in my truth. If somebody accepts it, great. If they don't, I don't really care. I have no problem with that. But I'm just telling you, it's my truth. That's what happens. Very affected by the moon. And I'm very affected by the planets too. Specific ones, but I won't go into that. So for those of you who aren't so familiar with how energy works, you might scoff at what I just said. I know it sounds hokey and woo-woo. But if you're following me and you follow me for a long time, then you understand this. Like, you understand energy. You understand the planets, and that each of them, they have specific jobs, and when they collide with other planets, or how they interact, and it's just everything, right? But I'm here to tell you that as an energetic being, you are intricately connected to everything, just like I am. We are all intricately connected to everything, and therefore we are affected by everything. There's never a time when a human being isn't impacted by something that happens in the world. Now, we can be ignorant, not know something happens, but energetically, everyone is impacted, right? I, for the sake of my own self-preservation, and because my abilities have become sharper and I've become much more empathic, I choose not to watch the news. I choose not to watch violence. I choose not to listen to negativity. I choose not to be around negative people, because I can't take it. I really can't take it. My body can't take it. My energy cannot take it. So there are a lot of times where I don't even know what's going on in the world. Seriously. Head is in the sand, the proverbial spiritual sand, and I don't know what's going on. But all of a sudden, I will be overcome with a heaviness that I can't describe. And I know it's not mine, because what you experience from me, this is my energy. I'm up, I'm awake, I'm happy, I'm positive. And then all of a sudden, if I become heavy, depressed, and tired, I know it's not mine, because nothing's happened in my life to cultivate that. So I've chosen to be very selective about what I allow in my energy. But still I get affected, because what is going on in the world today, and what's been going on in the world for the last several years, very, very intense, and everybody's feeling something from it, right? The collective. And you fellow empaths and HSPs, y'all know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden you're feeling just crazy exhausted or sad or overwhelmed or whatever it is that the collective is feeling, loss, grief. It's just the truth. The energetic reverberations are always bouncing off everything and everybody in every single moment. Everything is made up of energy. The things that you think are solid are not. It's just this conglomeration and mass of atoms that are vibrating together at the same rate for something to become solid. That's a quantum physics concept. Very cool. I love learning about quantum physics. Dare I digress? So anyway, so I want you to think about the concept of the butterfly effect. There was a movie, Ashton Kutcher was in it, but where small changes can have a massive effect on a larger system. Okay? And here's the whole concept about the butterfly effect. I'd heard about it years ago, but didn't understand what it was years ago. And once I found it out, I was like, wow, that is so cool. And this is true. Again, remember, energy is connected to everything energetic. Everything's connected to everything. This is so cool. So here's the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings and can be on the other side of the world. You don't even know it's flapping, right? And your energetic field is impacted. Wherever you are, right now, in the world, the flapping of the butterfly wings on the other side of the world impacts the energy around you and in you in this moment. That is how powerful one action is from a butterfly. So nothing and no one is eliminated from the far reaches of energy. That said, even though people are responsible for their own behavior and feelings, none of us make anyone feel anything or think anything or do anything. All of those things are personal choices, believe it or not. So when somebody says she made me do it, unless, God forbid, you're under duress and your safety is at risk and you make a choice to do something, outside of that, it's your choice. You are responsible. We're nonetheless automatically impacted by what other people feel and do. Why is that? And what is the purpose of that, right? So that's what I'm talking about with you today. I want to talk to you about triggers and how they impact you and what you can do about them to become a better person. We all have them. Well, none of us want them, but we got them. And if you've attended school, right, to whatever level you attended or grade, then you know there's always a teacher and a student, right? Yes, Janis, we know. Okay. In life, anything can become a teacher and student. We are in constant state of switching roles simultaneously. You could be teaching and learning at the same time. I do that all the time with my clients. I'll teach them something and I will learn in one of two ways. One is it will reinforce what I have achieved and accomplished as I teach. And the other is it will reinforce what I haven't learned and accomplished in the same moment. How cool is that? This happens all the time. That's the energy exchange, right? So for the purpose of today's discussion, I just want to focus on the people that you come across in your life. So here's truth. Your soul has designed a life in such a way that it is called in specific experiences from which you could possibly learn. Now, I say possibly because there's no guarantee that you're gonna be open and you're going to take the opportunity to learn. So if you don't learn from one experience, your soul has already strategized and compiled and lined up a monster roster of experiences from which you can learn that they're waiting to be cued to show up. You ever thought about life like that? Like you could look at a pattern in your life and I don't understand why I keep going through this. I don't understand why I keep picking mates or romantic partners that are emotionally unavailable. I don't understand why I keep getting cheated on. I don't understand why blah, 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 blah. Whatever the pattern is in your life that is dysfunctional or that is toxic or that is unhealthy, the reason why you keep experiencing it is because you haven't been paying attention and you haven't learned what you needed to learn from that. I always tell people when you're betrayed repeatedly, okay, one, yes, you need to probably have some karmic debt to settle. But if you've ruled that out and you're like, I don't know if I have karmic debt to settle, but I'm tired of experiencing this, you have called in betrayal experiences so that you can learn fidelity to self. And what I mean by that is that you learn to listen to what you know is best for you. Fidelity to self. I trust my gut. I listen to myself. I honor what I want. I take action on what I know is right for me. I don't turn away. I don't ignore red flags. I don't let anybody mistreat me. But unless and until you practice fidelity to self, you are going to be continuously bombarded with betrayal. Okay? Does that make sense for those of you, even perhaps who are experiencing that now? Fidelity to self, that's the shit. That's self-integrity. That is amazing stuff if you can get to that point where you are so freaking monogamous with yourself and faithful and loving and nurturing and protective. Ooh, so good. So now as human beings, we tend to be mostly affected by people, okay? That's not to say, y'all, that we are not also significantly impacted by nature or animals or anything else you can think of. I'm just using human beings as the primary way that we tend to be most affected, or the primary way. So our human growth is predominantly prompted through our experiences with other human beings. It's kind of like God gives us people to work through our stuff. And our souls have contracted with every single experience in life for the primary purpose of completing our necessary lessons and graduating to a more pure, godlike existence, the existence from where we came. Because of this, humans are our greatest teachers. They are the vehicle through which we learn everything. Well, most things. Our animals, our little beloved animals, do teach us all sorts of yummy stuff. But for the sake of today, talking about the people. Is this making sense? I hope so. So, because humans are our greatest teachers, they are in many cases our toughest teachers. They provoke our shadow parts, our inner demons. They yank them out. They call them out, put light on them, and they call on our deepest fears in the most profound ways. And it sucks. And yet, if you decide to live your life with a desire to grow, rather than a desire to simply experience and react to moments in your life with these people in them, then your world will turn out to make so much more sense to you. It is entirely true that life happens for you, not to you. And it took me decades to learn this. But once I decided that I was sick and tired of being miserable, and I spent the better part of my 30s being pissed, being miserable, and I decided that I wanted to live life lighter and more peacefully, something switched, and I began to pay attention to what was showing up for me. I began to honor the teachers that showed up. And I started on a quest to search for the meaning in all things. I know you probably don't believe that, but it's the truth. And that led me to back to myself, as it will you, if you decide to do the same. When I say it led me back to myself, it led me back to the truth of who I am, which is I am responsible for me, and it's my job to clean my side of the street. And I'm the only one that can do that. And that everything that's showing up in my world is for me. So let me fucking learn. Right? Other humans trigger us, no doubt. Like I said, they poke at all the parts of us that we deny within ourselves, like our judgments and biases, like racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia. And they poke at all the parts of us that terrify us, right? Like our fear of being inadequate and not good enough, our fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of fraudulence. Everyone that crosses our path shows up as mirrors for us to see what isn't exactly well adjusted within ourselves. That's the best, most succinct way I could describe the process. They show us what is not exactly well adjusted within ourselves. Other humans will always confront our egos, and our ego, we only have one, but they will always confront our ego, and this is pretty much the toughest part of all. When our ego is threatened, when our ego feels threatened, because our ego is all about safety, period. It's all about rules and safety. It means that our model of the world is threatened, which means that our very existence is threatened. The way we look at the world is just thrown up in the air. And then we become defensive, right? If somebody pokes at something we haven't resolved yet, or we don't want to deal with, or we feel like we are self-righteous about, or we're like, we shouldn't be treated that way. How dare they, right? We become defensive because our ego's threatened. The values, the rules around our values, they get all messed up. They get all offended. That's what the ego does. We become defensive, stubborn, self-righteous, and we go into fight or flight. Fight or we bolt. And it can feel like a harrowing experience, right? To go through this shit when people really poke at the most sensitive nerves of us, the things that we work really, really hard to repress and prevent anybody from finding out about those parts of ourselves. It takes a lot of energy to pretend, but we all do it because we don't want people to not like us. We don't want them to think badly of us because to some degree it does matter, right? So it truly can feel harrowing to deal with these really tough teachers. But until you decide to perceive what you experience with other people differently, you're going to spend your whole life struggling and ultimately experience life and the interactions with others through a lens of lashings. Like you're up on back in the centuries ago, when people would be punished, they get lashed. That's what you will continue to feel like, rather than experience the people and experiences that may be tough, but they're actually there to be salves for you, meaning the ointment that will heal, that will complete, that will help you become who you need to become. And whichever perception or view you take is up to you. I'm just telling you what's going to bring you more happiness. Which one, right? People trigger us to show us one thing. And y'all, you got to hear this. This is the God's honest truth. People trigger us to show us one thing: where we are not free. And where we are not free is where we give our power away. How many times have you felt helpless, hopeless, immobile, just unresourceful? How many times? That's where you're not free. If you let somebody get to you emotionally and you react, you've given your power away, right? Plain and simple. So where in your life are you not free in giving your power away? Where are you not remaining present and self-focused on being the highest version of yourself? Where in your life are you a prisoner to your emotions? Where you let your emotions override any kind of common sense, and you let your emotions drive the bus most of the time in your life? Where are you a prisoner there? Where in your life are you not free? And you know what? You may think of free as something else. You may determine that free means something entirely different than what I've talked about. But in whatever way you describe freedom, I want you to look at whatever way you don't feel that. That's where the work needs to be. Your human existence, it was not designed to be an experience of suffering. Even though, comparatively speaking, and along a spectrum, everybody has very different experiences. Some are horrific, unbelievably horrific experiences. And then some are mildly dissatisfying. But we're not here to suffer. Your experiences, your life was designed to prompt you to overcome adversity and grow. Period. Your people are your teachers. And many of those experiences are tough. No kidding, tough. Some of them will bring you close to or at your breaking point. True. I've been there several times in my life, broken open completely. And I've had to redesign my life. I know you have too. I know you have. Sucks. Hard. Nobody wants that. We all try to avoid that shit. But you can't grow if part of you doesn't break off. You can't. It's impossible. It's like trying to keep a human being's body who's growing in a crib for the rest of his life or her life. You won't be comfortable. You'll struggle. Your body will hurt. You won't sleep. You'll fatigue. But I ask you, actually, in all honesty today, I implore you to stop perceiving life in any way that causes you pain and suffering. Decide, choose to see everything that happens in your life for your greater good. Ask a different question. Don't ask why this happened to me. That's a question that will lead you to nothing good. That's a low quality question, and you're not going to get a really good answer. So you got to change the quality of your question. Ask a different question instead of why me. Open the door of the question and say, what's in this for me? What do I need to learn from this? Right? How can I be a better human being because this happened? Use every single experience and interaction to that end, and to that end only, to become the highest version of yourself that you could possibly become. Your best learnings come from your harshest teachers. There's no question. Your highest learning comes from the harshest teachers. Harshest. And if you decide to see life in this way, you're going to turn every fuck you to whatever teacher you have, whatever teacher comes across. You're like, fuck you, you suck, I hate you, why are you in my life, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to turn all of that into a thank you. Thank you for being so evil to me. Thank you for being so horrible. Thank you for hurting me so badly, because you know what? Had you not done that, I wouldn't be this strong today. I wouldn't have the boundaries in place. I wouldn't have the opinions I have. I wouldn't have the mindset. I wouldn't have the strategies. I wouldn't be this version of me. So thank you for being such an asshole. Seriously. Thank you. And when you do that, you will never give your power away. You'll never feel helpless or hopeless or resourceless again. Trust the triggers. They're not random. Nothing is random. Nothing. Use the triggers, trust them, and then teach others how they can too. How they can really use their life to effect massive change in the world. Right? And just as the butterfly does on the other side of the world, who you become, the energy you put out into the world, and how you contribute to the world, it really will raise the collective vibration. And you will have then, in all honesty, fulfilled your purpose. Love it. Ladies, are you ready to find your fulfillment? Are you ready to really understand the true purpose of what it means to, and how you can collectively raise the vibration? My program Aligned is designed to address that. It's designed to really help women who want to feel more fulfilled because they know something's missing, to find out how to do that. I will teach you the strategies I've learned in my life and the strategies I've taught my clients. Hundreds of women have learned these strategies, and their lives have changed. It's unbelievable. I want that for you too, ladies. So if this resonates for you, if any of my teachings resonate with you and you are on the fence about, gosh, should I? I want you to know that the fact that you're even on the fence is indication that it's time for you to pivot. And like I said in my previous episodes, I'm going to be doing a 3-part free live mini-series. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to teach you some really good stuff. And it's going to help you on your path to true fulfillment. Because we truly can be fulfilled in spite of things that we feel like aren't going exactly right in our life. If you feel like something's missing, then it is. And I want to help you fill the gap. So until I get my waitlist page up, I want you to hop on my website, janisrcohen.com, enter your name and email, download that free report, 5 Pillars That Will Revolutionize Your Life. It's a great report. It's a helpful report. It will help you start on how you can get on this fulfillment journey. And then I'm going to be reaching out to all these wonderful ladies on the list about when my 3-part live is going to be happening. So please stay tuned for that. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week. And as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.